Happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome back to the Underground Cave for another exciting paint-along. Tonight we will continue with the Blackmane Gnoll Ravager from Reaper 07059. This will be part 3 of our 4-part installment. I will post these paint-alongs on YouTube after they get finished. And you can always get the links on the Discord if you join the Discord. !Discord will get you that link. And we'll do that right now. And there we go. And then you can find out what next month's paint-along will be, what colors I'll be using. I'll get those posted for the May paint-along. And then, yeah. So that's on Discord. And if you want to see the past paint-alongs, there are links up there for what we did back in March. And yeah, I think it was March, which was, I think it was just the female monk from Reaper. Jiao, I don't remember. But you can go over to the Discord and find out where it is. Those links have been posted along with the paint palette and the actual miniature. And the same will be done for Blackmane, the Gnoll Ravager. So, if you're ready, grab your brushes, grab your paints, and any other tools that you need, and let's get painting. All right, let's get some light on, because it's pretty dark in here, and I will show you where we ended up. We ended up with this guy right here. Hopefully he's bright enough to see. Let's see, I should have probably tested out the video configurations before we started. Let me brighten that up just a little bit, not too much. Bring it in there, apply. Okay, there he is. Now, this is tabletop ready. We did everything we needed to do to get him tabletop ready. But now, for the next 2 weeks, we're going to spend time refining and getting him a little bit more closer to Tabletop Plus. And what does Tabletop Plus versus Tabletop actually mean? Well, when I look at Tabletop Plus versus Tabletop Quality, I'm looking at just colors on the table. So here, orange, blue, silver. We did a little bit more with the wood handle here by getting those streaks into the, basically it's just a stick, right? It was just a flat stick. So that's what I would consider Tabletop Plus, getting those little textures into the handle. But now we're going to refine. We want to get some other stuff. Maybe we want to do a little bit more with that gem. Maybe we want to do a little bit more with the belt. We'll see. But he's ready for the table the way he is now. But I want to actually go through and hey, okay. I thought my mic wasn't working, but I was looking at something else. And then I want to kind of clean up some of the stuff around him to smooth out some blends, get some extra highlights in here. So we're going to get some eyes in here. So that's kind of what we're going to do with Tabletop Plus. So he looks good on the table right now, but we're going to even take him up a notch. So let's let's remind everybody what colors we're using. For today's session, it's the same as the other 2 sessions before. I'll go through my Monument Hobbies list, and then I will go through my Reaper list. Only 2 paint lines here, really, to worry about. The first one is Burnt Orange from Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl. If you don't have burnt orange, any muted orange will work. Jocaro Orange from Citadel. You know, some kind of like orange leather type color we want to use. To contrast that orange, we're going to use regular blue. And I can mute down the blue if I need to by using some Bright Warm Gray. Bright Warm Gray is a nice greenish gray, so why not add some green to our mix? These are all Pro Acryl from Monument Hobbies. And we can also highlight a little bit more with some ivory. This is more of a yellow white. This is more of a green white. It's a gray, and this is a yellow. And of course, we can't go anywhere without some coal black. So we got some coal black in the mix, followed by some dark silver. Any dark silver will work. This is just a pretty dark silver, and I only want that dark silver to bring out a bright silver, which I'm using my Reaper Miniatures 09453. This is Master Series paint. So filigree silver there. Staying with Reaper, we'll use blood red. I wanted something a little on the darker side, so I went 09003. This is a little bit darker. I didn't want to go super dark, but I didn't want fire truck red. And the last one is a black and brown. This is a very dark brown, almost black. If it's too black for you, we can always increase that with a little bit of ivory or orange to that. So those are the colors we've been using. And now the trick is, what do we want to do on our little Gnoll Ravager to take him up a notch? And a couple things that I did want to do. I want to give him a couple more bright highlights up in the chest area and on the knee area. And I also want to kind of blend some of these tones in just a little bit more. Also, there's a little gold chain here, so I'm going to probably bring out that gold chain. The other thing I want to do is kind of clean up around these. See how we got this black with these bone colors? I want to actually use a smaller tip brush and try to get into each one of those to refine that dark line. And then maybe get a couple more bright spots on the silver with a little bit of slashy marks for wear and tear. So there's a bunch of stuff that we can do. So that's what I want to do. I also want to work on this back a little bit more. I want to get the spots all over his arm. Not so much on the chest area. I think I'm going to keep the chest area kind of on the blank side here. We are going to touch up some of the highlights there, but I do want to get some spots all along his back legs, his hind legs, and then we can also bring out some of this fur. So it's just a little, you know, this is good for the tabletop, ready to go. I also want to work a little bit more down here on the base, so that's what Tabletop Plus will give us. All right, with all that said and done, I'm going to go ahead and start getting a little bit of mixing in so that I can get the chest area to be a little bit more kind of smooth blended in, and then get some of these refined in here. So what we're going to do there is we're going to take some burnt orange and get it on the palette. So this is going to be a healthy dose of orange. So I'm going to get 5 drops on the palette. I will be using that in quite a number of things. I'm also going to get 2 drops by itself right there, and 1 drop by itself right there. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to add other colors, and it's much easier if I already have those mixes. And so I'm going to actually add in a nice bright gray, bright warm gray. So we're going to want to get that on the palette. So I'm going to get that over here. I'll only do 3 there. I'm going to do 2 here and 2, actually just 1, right? I did 2, yeah. And then if I need more of the orange or I need more of the gray, they're right there. But this is a 2-to-1 mixture. This is a 1-to-2 mixture. And like always, we're going to take a mixing brush. Any mixing brush will do. we'll wet that guy out, and we'll just kind of mix in here. And you can see my wet palette is not completely adhered to the sponge. It's because I kind of want a lot of liquid in here, because I'm going to start using thinner paints. So we want to do that. All right. And I'm just going to wipe this stuff right here. I don't want to waste all of this. I can use this for mixing if I need to. So we're just going to do that there. All right. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to mix this. This should be a lighter color because we have more of the gray in here. And I didn't use ivory. I don't want to go super ivory yet. I want to wait to use ivory for the brighter colors. So, and we'll put this right here. And I can add more gray to this. Ivory. This will be a little mix. Okay. Now, if you remember what we had done before, we started with the burnt orange, and then we worked our way up on top of the muscle. So here's where I'm going to need my magnifiers. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. And the first thing I'm going to do to blend everything in is to grab a brush, and I'm going to take some of the burnt orange, but I really want to thin this out. So I don't want it to be paint. I want it to be almost like a glaze, which means I need to get a paper towel somewhere too. And I'm going to add a little bit of medium to this. So I'm not going to start with water to glaze. You can, but I want to add a little bit of medium. So I'm going to start with 3 to 1 kind of is what I'm kind of looking for. And we might need another one. Orange is a pretty strong color because it's got red and yellow in it. So even though it's easier to thin, you almost want it to, and this is where you might want to try to use a little bit of water. I'm going to use a little bit of water. Now that I have a lot of medium in there, I'm going to use some water. So just a drop. That's just pure water that I have in that dropper bottle, because it's easier for me to count drops than it is to count brush tips. And you want to do it so that it's kind of invisible, but you still can see some of it. Okay. And I'll just grab a garbage paper towel right now, and then I will get another paper towel. And the trick here is, what you want to do is you want to load up that brush and touch the paper towel so that it kind of goes away, right? There will still be more on there. And using the side of the brush, I'm just going to kind of stroke down this way. And what I want to do is just kind of blend in all of those highlights with the dark recesses of this orange. Now, if I was doing this on the back, I wouldn't be using this orange to do it. I'd be using that dark orange that we had made for the back. But for right now, I want to just get the front of this to go more into those deep shadows with this little glaze. Don't hit the bone color, or else you're going to have to repaint the bone. So you just have to be very, very careful around the parts that we already painted. And we're going to do this maybe twice, 3 times. So we're going to have to wait for it to dry. That's why we have other places to go. So we'll do that. We'll get more on this brush. Paper towel. Get it so it goes down. And we're just going to kind of do this arm. And this is a great way of kind of blending things down a little bit if it looks too stark. To the legs. You'll still get the highlights. You're not removing the highlights here. I'm not restarting this. I'm just kind of adding back in the orange so that we have so we know where we're going when we highlight. And it'll soften all of those hard edges we put in there. Now we're gonna have to fix some of those hard edges that we put in. Maybe you did yours perfect and you don't have to do this, but I definitely do. And what this is going to do is it's just going to tone it down, and it's going to soften it down just a bit more so it's not so in your face bright. Remember, we always have to go to an uncomfortable level and then tone it back down when we're doing a filtering glaze. That's kind of what we're doing here. We're doing this filtering glaze because we want to start sketching back up a little bit more. Okay. And I think I have one more arm to do if I'm not mistaken. Notice that's the color I have. It's just like this little coffee stain, right? That's all I got. And look at how much moisture is coming out of that. So again, I don't need an awful lot of pigment to soften this down. And I thought we had some music going, but I may have accidentally turned it off. So let's let that dry, and I'll put on some music and let you kind of catch up. Oh, well, before we do that, I gotta do the face. And then we'll let the face dry, and then we should be able to, because this is nice thin paint, we should be able to go back and start doing it all over again. So I'm just pulling, I'm using the brush to pull towards anything that might be in the shadow. I'm not just washing over it. So I'll show you what I'm doing. So like this is in the shade, so I'm pulling everything towards the shade. The top of the ear, I come down, and I'm going to come down this way. So we're just going to kind of keep pulling towards the shade color because this is a much darker color than the highlights. All right. Oh, just dropped my paper towel, but that's okay. Let me get some music on, and we're going to let him dry, and I'm going to go get more paper towels. So here we go. Where is my music? Here it is. What's good? What's good Gnoll music? Let's see. How about epic? There we go. We'll get a little epic music going in to do our little Gnoll. We're gonna let him dry, and I'm gonna go get some paper towel. So I will be right back. Ooh. See? That's all we needed. We just needed some paper towels. Let me move this back a little bit there. All right. As you can see, as this dries, it darkens up. It's not as bright as it was before. So we're just going to do the same thing that we just did before. So if you are pretty adept at glazing now, because I showed you, then go ahead and redo everything we just did, and I will catch up. Always pulling towards the shadow the best you can. Anytime you see me off screen, it just means that I'm removing the excess moisture off of the brush so that I can just kind of glaze here. Now, every time you put a highlight on, should you do this? I don't know. That might get a little too much, but it is very possible that you could do that. With each highlight, you glaze it into the next color. But I usually do maybe a couple highlights going up before I kind of bring it back down. And I'm hoping that we can keep our paint thin enough where we can just kind of bring it up slowly. Not super slowly. Again, this is still a game piece for the table. But hopefully, if you do this enough and you practice your glazing and practice your sketching, you'll have enough knowledge to do something for competition. It's just a matter of time and effort we want to put in. And we just need to do a face now, right? So because the top of the head comes down, I'm gonna put my brush strokes going down. There's the top of the ear. And eventually this all starts to kind of blend in. You'd be surprised how much effort, but you can get it to blend in and it looks so smooth and nice. Here we go. All right. Now I could go farther, but let's see how this goes. So when I thin the paints down, I'm going to use a mixture of one medium, and one water. Each time I do a thin paint, I want a medium and a water, and because you need both of those in the paint, but you don't want it to make it a glaze, you just want it to be a thin paint. So since we got a medium and water in there, we're going to need to go with so that's 2 parts, so I need at least 4 parts of this paint to make it almost paintable. Let's take a look. Yeah. See, we want it nice and thin so we can paint with it. So we'll grab my brush. Now, if it's too dark, or excuse me, if it's too light, you can always add a little bit of the burnt orange because burnt orange is already in there. But I'm going to take this and I'm just going to take the tip of my brush. See, it's like there's no paint on there. And I didn't use the whole brush, right? I just need the belly of the brush to be wet, right? So all I'm doing is taking, so you can't even see how much I'm taking because it's only on the tip of the brush. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna use that tip of the brush and we're just gonna push it into this area. So like right here, whoops. So I'm gonna try to do this so that you can see it. And let me bring this down, whoops. I don't wanna pull it out. Hold on. Before we get into that, let me make sure this. So this is actually working to my advantage. Okay. All right, so what you need to see is this. So let me fix the camera here really quick. It's so hard to see using this. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. So here we go with this. I'm gonna twirl the brush, and hopefully I'm watching the camera. All right. What I want to do is take this tip and I want to just kind of push it very carefully in there. See if I can do this on camera. Okay. Just using the tip of the brush to get it right in there, as close as I can to the dark line, but not going on to the dark line, because I need to have that dark line be a separation. Try this again. Just taking the tip of the brush, trying to do it where I can paint it and you can see it, and I'm just gonna kind of slide it around in there so that I'm not touching all of the black. So if you touch, if you have the paint thin enough, you should be able to just to touch and it should go in. Sometimes you have to kind of manipulate it. Ugh. Hold on, I gotta grab my brush. I'm having all kinds of dropsies today. I'm gonna add a little bit of this orange color, this burnt orange. I think it might just be a little too bright. So let me do that. So you want to get as close to that black line as you possibly can. And this will kind of make it nice and neater. So I don't know if you can actually read it, but if you look on this side, you can still see the bone color over here. This might be a little more doable. You're just trying not to get onto the actual bone itself. Just trying to bring that dark line as thin as possible. And you do that with the tip of your brush. And then we'll just go around the horn and see if there's any dark lines that we need to bring down. So I'm looking at this blue line here. Just grab some of this lighter color here. Twirl this down, and maybe this blue line is too blue, so I'm just going to kind of bring it in a little bit. I don't want to go around it because it's not part of the light source, right? But if you look now, that blue line is just a tad bit thinner. And I can get it even thinner by just getting closer. And then we can also make it the blue a little bit brighter. All right. So that's kind of where we want to focus our efforts on. So I'm going to take this nice light color that we did. I'm just going to go over the muscles with this nice thin paint. So I'm going to turn the miniature this way, and I'm going to grab as much of the top as I can with this nice bright color. And this can be used to fix any mistakes that we possibly had made down the line. You got blue on something, now's the time to fix it. So I'm holding it in such a way that I'm looking at it as if, like, I could go straight down if I wanted to, I could go straight down and highlight all of those muscles, but what I want to do is just make sure that I have enough because when you look at it this way, all of those will be nice and highlighted. So I'm just kind of using this angle here, 45 degrees, and then when I do the lighter one, I'll bring it more towards the 90. So if you want to know what I'm actually doing, I'm trying to go about 60 degrees right now. Just gonna hit all of these highlighted areas. So I got muscles here that I kind of missed. So this is kind of like the fixing phase, right? We're trying to get this dynamic lighting into this area here. And this might be a good candidate right there for a scar. So we'll have to keep our eyes out looking for the scars. And I will do the same thing on this side. Whoops, I keep going in the wrong. All right, there we go. So looking at this, I grab all of this color in here. Oh boy, my hands are very slippery. And then top of this muscle, top of this muscle. This looks like it comes down. And once you do that, you can pretty much follow along in the other parts. So like around his leg area here, right? And then if you're holding it here, you get to see a lot of this leg. Now, notice that this leg here has a very large shadow spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tip of the brush and I'm going to pull out towards where I want my highlight to be. So if you have some issues with certain colors or some mistakes, you can always fix it up. Oops, somehow I need to get back to a focus here. There we go. Cinnabone, what's going on? How are you doing? Still working on our little Gnoll Ravager, just cleaning him up in certain areas, and then we'll get into doing a little bit more with him. Working on Tabletop Plus now. We think we got all the colors in him. Now it's just a matter of getting those colors to be nicely blend it in, give him some character, give him some sort of story. Cleaning up all the stuff that I made a mistake on trying to paint him online. Alright. And we'll kind of paint upwards toward the ears and the brow. He could be looking directly at the sun here, so we can give him a little squint. And this up here where his cheek is. I think this might all be hair, but I'm gonna give him a little brow. Right there on the bottom of the ear. Right here on the bottom of the ear, he's got some earrings, so we'll give him some earrings. Alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this orange color and mix it in with this light color here, just to give a little hint of a shade. And I'm just going to go in and touch up some of these lines right here. So I'm going to try to get as close to these lines as I can. Actually, I got to hold the miniature this way and get as close as I can to these lines. Let's see. Is that what I want to do? Yeah. See, that's what I want to do right there. Right? No, it's not what I want to do. Alright, that's what I want to do. So I have to fix in some of this orange that we messed up. So you should have a nice dark line right here. And down here. Because I painted over this by accident. And we didn't want to do that. All right. What I wanted to do was this. I wanted to take this nice darker color and go under the peck as close as I can to that orange line, but we still want that orange line to be defined a little bit. So we're just taking this little tiny highlight of a shade color and gonna kind of bring it into all these little highlights, but keeping a little bit of the definition in there, like so. All right. Trust me, this will all make sense momentarily when it dries. And we get the other highlight on there. So let's do the other highlight and you'll see what I'm saying. Good evening, Jill. Hope your stream is going well. Aquadish Panda told me about your stream. Well, hello, Spirit Bear Grove. What is going on? And thank you to Aquadish Panda for telling you about my stream. I appreciate it. 1 medium, 1 water. That means 2 parts. We're going to go 4 parts with our brighter orange color here. So here's 1 part, 2 parts, 3 parts, 4 parts. So you want it always, you want a 2-to-1 mixture, but because we put water and medium, that counts as 2 parts. So 2 times 2 is 4. That's why we had 4 parts of paint. How are you doing? Spirit Bear Grove, Spirit Bear, Spirit Bear, Bear, Spirit Bear. Boy, I can't even talk today. Again, I'm putting only the tip of the brush in, then I'm going to twirl it. It kind of gets the excess off. And I'm just going to go in, and you know how we held this at a 60-degree angle this way? I'm going to go more towards like a 75 to 80. And I'm just going to paint towards the top. Kind of like what we did before when we were doing this for tabletop, but just a much thinner paint. And I'm just trying to hit the areas, the light areas that we hit originally. And it will start pulling in. So again, you don't have to paint a darker color every time you want something darker. If you paint a lighter color on next to it, it automatically becomes darker. So if I'm going to paint the top of the muscle with a highlight color, it's going to pull in all of these other colors and make them darker. So we don't always have to darken the line. We don't always have to use black. We don't always have to use a darker color. We can get away painting something just a little bit brighter near it, and then you can actually see the darker muscle tones. I'm new to painting minis, and they mentioned you were a really good resource. I'm a really good resource. I don't know who told you that. I don't know how to paint minis. No, I appreciate that. I enjoy going through my process and hopefully making people understand certain things. If they don't understand it, I'm always here to answer questions. But I think it's awesome. It's really a humbling and boy, I'm speechless when it comes to people saying that I'm a good resource, because I'm just like everybody else. I'm just trying to figure this out, and there are so many people out there that you can get inspiration from. So having me as one of those, it's just awesome. You can also just say Bastion. That's my name, Bastion. Well, hello, Bastion. Spirit Bear, Bastion. I will always try to say the correct screen name. But I do have, it's coming in the mail. I don't have it just yet, but it is on order. I have a license to butcher anybody's name on stream, so people can't yell at me because I'll have a license for it. but it's in the mail, so we're just waiting for that. No, but I don't intentionally try to do that. But I will practice it when I sleep. So all I'm doing right now is just kind of adding in this thin highlight. It's gonna go away. Right now it looks so bright because it's wet paint and it's reflecting the light. But as it goes away, it will tone itself down. So I'm just kind of painting where I think the highlight should be, which is kind of like on the top of the face, top of the eye, right here on the top of the cheek. But notice I'm not doing the whole cheek, right? There's a reason why we painted that orange, and we should keep that painted orange the most what we can. It's not really orange, it's kind of a burnt orange, but a lot of this will sell. And then I'm also going to do on top of the leg here. And again, because I use a lighter color, I'm going to do a smaller area, right? So you don't always paint over the same area that you painted, you just kind of paint a smaller portion of that area. So for like right here, I won't do the whole thigh muscle in the front, I might just do the top right there. Maybe a little point here, a little point right here, a little point right here. Do a little bit on the thumb knuckle, this hand. And we'll get some on these fingers, just kind of some lines right there, just to kind of indicate that there are fingers holding that. Amazing. Where'd you get one? I do the same on my shoes. Where do you get one? It's you have to, I think I might have been had, but there are some links out there that you can find a license to butcher people's names. I don't remember exactly where I got it. So I'm using actual burnt orange into the shadows here, because when I look at it in the front, I don't want it so dark back there. So I'm going to actually do some of this in this orange here to signify the shadows. Let's see. So I'm going to do this side of the muscle, side of the muscle here. Okay. Now I'm going to take this burnt orange and mix it in with this lighter orange. Whoops, I totally screwed up. Take this burnt orange, mix it in a little bit with this lighter orange right here. Grab some of that thin stuff. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the sides here to blend that down. And it's not going to look like it's being blended only because it's wet. So once that dries, it'll start to look a little darker. So I'm just going to kind of do that all around here to minimize some of that, minimize some of those layer lines, and then we'll go in and we'll glaze again. We'll glaze everything down. I'll show you how that looks. Notice that I'm trying to keep my orange line as thin as I possibly can. So like right here, I don't know if you can see that, but I kind of want to make this as thin as I possibly can right there with this side. just going to do this on the side. And this will help blend everything in. I'll use a little bit more of this. I'll use a little bit more of this mixture right here. Just to kind of sell that deal down here a little bit more. And eventually what happens is that highlight color starts to fade away a little bit, gets smaller, which is kind of what we want. We want these nice kind of smoother blends. All right, and then I'm going to take this color here. Yeah. I'm going to take this color here. This is a nice thin color. And I'm going to kind of do the side of the arm here, because the side of the arm is looking a little... So I want to paint away from the highlight. If you paint away from the highlight, then it will start to kind of blend down into the shade color. That's all brush control, right? All right. Hey, Space Nifty, what's going on? All right, now I'm going to take some of this nice orange dark, or this burnt orange, and I'm going to actually paint away from the highlight, down a little bit more. Paint away from the highlight color. All right. All right. Paint away from the highlight color. That means I have to come out that way. I have to come down. And come up. So you got to meet halfway there. And I will take this orange color again. And I'm going to paint away from that highlight color. Because where I drop the most amount of paint is where I lift up the brush. So if I lift up the brush away from the highlight color, that's where a lot of the dark color will be deposited. That's what we want. All right. Recovering from last night. Ooh, partying hard. Is that what you were doing? I'm actually going to take some of this thin light orange that we did, and I'm going to add a little bit more of the bright warm gray. I want it just to be a little bit lighter. I'm going to twist it out. And I'm just going to go ahead and systematically put in some dots at sort of like the most 90-degree angle that I can get at. Remember, mussels are round in some spots and, you know, like ovals. So we're just going to put some little ovals in here. Starting at the corner of each chest ab here. Just kind of working my way out a little bit. And then I'm just going to do a little bit on these pecs right here. A little bit on the shoulder, keeping those just separated enough. This muscle, I think this elbow might get a little bit. So this elbow is a little weird because it has like this curve. So I'm gonna do my oval a little bit off. You know, it's not like a regular oval. It's kind of like tilted, right? And then we'll do a little bit right here, This, my oval is going to be just a little bit tilted. Get the knuckles. Little finger here, a little finger there. Just looking for any places that might have a nice highlight color. Probably go right in the middle there. Right on the top there. Then right there we'll go. Alright. And then we'll hit these little, whoops. What do you mean, oops? Can't say oops. It's alright. We'll fix it up. But we'll just hit, like, we're just gonna hit these big knuckles on the feet with these little spheres. There we go. Went kind of hard last night at a concert. Oh, well, that's awesome. I'm glad you got to see a concert. I'm gonna use this to get the top of the ear right there. And look at how all of a sudden adding these little points of highlight kind of brings out more of the detail. Now, if I wanted to, I could take some of this not highlighted and I can actually pinpoint over here because this is a little darker. These won't be as bright as what we did. So we can actually pinpoint these guys with a much darker highlight. And we can do the same thing over here. But don't worry, the glazing is coming. There we go. All right. So I do want to take a little time to just fix one thing. I just want to fix this particular area. So I'm just taking a little bit of orange and going kind of into this area underneath the giant pecs. Oops. Get rid of that. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Kind of want this to be a little bit more on the shaded region, but there we go. All right. Let's glaze again. We're going to use our little glaze here that we had. So again, if you weren't with us before, to glaze, you really thin out the paint. I'll use it on my thumb here. You want a highlighter consistency or thinner. And if you can actually paint and still see the whiteness of your thumb, you're good. Next thing you have to do is get rid of all the moisture that's on top of the brush, because that's what makes it a wash. We don't want a wash, we want a little glaze. So we're just going to take this and we're going to try to make it as small as we can. So see this, how I'm using this? I can start dotting. Take your miniature, not with the tip of your brush, but with the side of the tip of your brush, you're going to glaze towards the shade. So this way I'm going to go down and towards the center, or the side I should say. Just glaze everything down and towards the side. That's how we're gonna glaze. We're gonna do the same thing going down his arm. Going down his arm, it's gonna curve inward. So we just do that. His hand goes down. And just when you think you don't have any more glaze on the brush, you're gonna do the other side. Same way, go down. And this is why I do about 2 or 3 layers going upward, because you'll actually see the glaze when you go down with this. And this will soften all those little highlights, especially if you use thinner paint. If you use thin paint to highlight and thin paint to shade with, then this glaze kind of actually works. I'm going to do this again for the legs. Do this on screen so you can see. Well, that's cool that you went to a concert. I think I've been to 2 concerts in my lifetime. Again, I'm going top to bottom and off to the side. So that's how I want to glaze this. Because I'm using a darker color, I want to actually kind of go down and to the side. And I know the glaze is going to work because we already used this glaze before. And then we have the head, right? Head's our last glaze that we have to do. So we're just going to kind of bring this down. Not much going on there with the ears. There we go. We have to wait for that to dry, but that's, oh, we forgot, you know what we forgot? We forgot the feet. So glazing is a whole feel. It's kind of hard to describe how to actually thin your paints out, but if you can get it to sort of a highlighter quality, we've all used highlighters somewhere in our lifetime, we should be able to figure out that much. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use this. I'm going to use this secondary highlight, and I'm going to add a little bit more of this orange, this burnt orange, and I'm just going to kind of make these little tiny streaks down here. I don't want them super bright because they are kind of in shade, but I do want to make them stand out because they're kind of coming out towards the light. So I want to paint them towards the light. Like so. And then I will take the actual light color here. So we started with the burnt orange, the secondary highlight, the third highlight, and then we had the light gray to add more highlight. So this is the secondary highlight. No, the first highlight. This is the first highlight. And I'm just gonna go ahead and dot underneath here next to where the foot is. Again, this is going to be a little bit darker than our normal highlight, but I'm just adding a little dot down here. To give a little bit more structure to that foot coming out. And I'll get a little bit more highlight on his knee here, so his knee has a little bit more pop to it. All right. So I'm glad that we did all that, because we're going to actually mess it up when we put some scars on him, but for now you can just admire your new highlight. And if you think it's missing a highlight somewhere, just don't be afraid to go in and repaint something. And the other thing is, you can always highlight again the same area and it will become brighter. So like I'm not making new highlights. I'm using the same exact highlight color. I'm just repainting where I already highlighted. So if you ever want to put more highlights in, don't change your highlight color, just repaint over certain areas with the same color and it will eventually become brighter. All right, so we've done that. We've spent a lot of time on the skin, but I think we've kind of made it a little bit more, I think we made it a little bit more smoother, which is great. It's kind of what we wanted to do. The next thing is, I'm going to go ahead and get some blue on here. I'm going to actually bring out some of those strings a little bit more. So we're going to go right to the blue and the gray. I'm not doing anything but blue and gray. And so what I want to do is, this is the blue we started with. So I'm going to add in 3 grays to that. So there's 1 gray, 2 grays, 3 grays. And we'll add a little medium to that, just to kind of thin it down a bit. Just 1 medium. There's like 4 colors in there, so it's like a 4-to-1 mixture. Let me do that. There we go. So it's a 4-to-1 mixture, and we'll thin that right down. There we go. Twirl that on the tip of the brush. And we're just going to go in and we're just going to go in and create some very sharp, tiny lines. And when I do this, it's going to make all of those lines much bigger. You're going to see that when you paint light next to dark, it creates this nice dark line. See, we're going to do the same thing here. Right where this muscle was that we highlighted, we're going to go in and we're going to highlight that. And you don't have to go to the nice dark blue. You don't have to go to a black. You can just use a very bright color and it will make everything around it look darker. People are like, oh, I need to mix black and into my blue so I get a nice dark blue. But then they're like, oh, but now it looks all dark. And don't add black. If you just kind of add this brighter blue, it'll make that darker blue or that regular blue look black. See, it still looks blue, but it looks like I have this black line around it. Now in here, I'm just going to use the side of the tip, and I'm just going to press down with the side of the tip, just to make sure that I'm not touching anything I'm not supposed to touch. So I'm not painting this. I'm just dropping the tip of the brush on the blue back there. And then I can add a little bit of this light blue here. Now I'm going to add a little bit of light blue around the ear here. I'm not going to go all the way. Like, you don't have to do all of the blue. Like, I didn't do anything on the backside. I'm only doing kind of like where the light is hitting, because most people will do that whole blue around, and you don't need to. It's not necessary. And the reason is because you want to have it look like it's going into shadow. So like right here, I can just make it look like it's going into shadow, going on the side of his leg. I can bring out a couple of these strands here. Kind of right where it bumps out. But remember, if the light's not going to catch it, you don't have to totally worry about it. Because it will look like the light is hitting it. So I'm just going to do, because I did my little white dot over there, I'm actually going to go over here and put in this light blue. Offset it a little bit. All right, that looks good. We like that. Alrighty. What's next on the docket? What's next on the docket is I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to use my black and brown now to darken up some of the orange. And I'm going to use that color to darken up any orange that's around a surface. So we're going to stick with the orange for a second. Using this black and brown. Now this is a very potent color. Well, it used to be a potent color. Obviously I did not mix that up. Try this one more time. All right. There we go. So this is that black and brown. I'm going to add in a little bit of this orange. A little bit of this orange. You still want the orange color there. So it might be 3 to 2. Let's do 3 to 2. So 3 dark oranges and 2 black and browns. And I'm just going to go in and I'm going to paint the orange, but kind of like where the shadow is. Like this is part of the Gnoll, not part of the not part of the axe. So we're just gonna paint, and then I will paint down here. Like so. And we'll paint this side of the hand so it's not the same as the axe. And we will paint down here a little bit. There we go. All right. All right, let's see. Need to kind of fix something up here. Yeah, it was just ticking me off right there. All right, sorry, I didn't mean to go rogue on you. Just wanted to fix something up there. All right, so there he is in his glory. So this black here is really kind of missing in action. So I'm gonna actually get some black and some bright gray. I'm gonna get some black. The cue line was to get some black. Eventually we'll get all the colors on here, but there is something I want to do. That's a lot of black. All right, so when you do black, you should never do, well, it depends on where you want to go. So because I have a black belt, I want to kind of bring this to more of a black consistency. So what I want to do, I don't want to say consistency, I want this to be black. And I don't want the highlights to be too much, but in this case, it's a leather, it's a leather belt, so I do want it to kind of separate a little bit. So I'm going to actually go ahead and take my, since I want it to be black, I'm going to add, I'm not going to go ahead and just add in the light color. I'm going to do it in increments because that's going to tell me where I have the highlight I'm looking for. So this is going to be too dark, so I'm going to go back into my bright gray and I'm going to do it again. And this might be too bright. No, that looks like what I already have. So we're going to go in with just a little bit more, not too much more, and see what this does for me. So we're going to go in. And I'm just going to kind of do around the top of the belt. So I'm just using the tip of the brush because I want more of a separation than I do a gray belt. Right? So I just want that to be a separated color from the Gnoll himself. And then the other thing you can do is where it's highlighted or where it's the high spot is, you can actually go in and just kind of hit that edge of the belt because like the leg is hitting there. And the leg, not the leg, but it also dips down here. So I think this will get some of the light, and then where the bone is, that's going to get some more of the light. Can't really see that. And then this is where I'm going to use black and paint in the real recesses of it. So like I want the recesses here to be black, nice and black. So I'm going to kind of paint right in there. Paint that recess there. You'll be able to see the recesses. Just use your light to find it. Let's see, did that work? Yeah, that worked. Now it's got a black belt. And I have to get down below here, underneath the gem. All right. All right, you guys ready for So on the back here, the back is pretty dark, right? Because he's angled up this way, so the light is hitting him from this direction. So there's not going to be much here. So what I want to do is I want to use some of this dark orange right here that we just created, and I'm just going to paint in this area here. And then I can highlight that with the actual orange itself. So I'm going to start out on the outside and just bring all of this in, kind of like this. Right? It's not going to be completely black because he's a burnt orange kind of guy. So we can highlight with the actual burnt orange, but we want to keep this as dark as possible back here. And we'll even do around here a little bit. And you also have to remember that because you're dealing with this burnt orange in almost everything that you've got, it's all going to kind of blend together pretty well. The only time it's not going to blend in is if you decide to use a different brown that doesn't have that orange in it. Notice that everything I do has got that same burnt orange in it. And that's the trick to doing yellow too. Anytime you want to shade or you want to do yellow stuff, you got to put that yellow that you're using in every single shade and highlight you're doing. So we're just kind of doing all of this nice dark areas here. Trying to get the skin here kind of set up for our attack run on it. I know it's like we're repainting everything for Tabletop Plus, but it's more or less just trying to get that to be nice and blended. The other thing I'm going to do, as you get this nice and dark back here, I do want to actually take this black and start picking out details. So there's a little chain here that I thought was bone, but it's not. So I'm just going to paint this black using the tip of the brush. We're going to just paint this guy black, and then we'll figure out what color to make this little Aztec chain that he's got. But I'm also going to do the sides down here. I should be using my magnifier since this is so small. But this is not part of his chest, so it's probably why some of his chest didn't look right to me. So we're just going to do this. And if you just use the tip of the brush and you do everything black, right? Then I can just do the face of this, whatever this might be, and it'll have that cool black outline. And I'll let you catch up. I'm just gonna go in and I have a couple things that I have to fix up here. There's this hair that I painted hair onto his shoulder. So because this orange is such a unifying color, I can go in on the sides here with this orange and just start painting where the hair is not supposed to be. And it won't look too bad. Alright. I didn't really mess up too much. I think I'm okay. Alright. Now, the hair. So we did a small dry brush on the hair, and we dry brushed it with like a bluish gray type thing. But I want to actually go ahead and pick out a couple hairs on here, just to show you that you can pick out certain hairs, and I'm going to pick them out like sort of on the top and on the top of the shoulders, on the arms themselves, just to kind of say that, oh, well, some of this hair kind of is getting hit by the light, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to start with the black because that was in the hair. So we take some black. Want to add a little bit of blue because that will make a nice shine to it. And we're going to add some bright warm gray to that. And you're going to end up with sort of this steely color. Get a little more blue in there. So maybe it's, so this is how you play with mixtures. So it looks like it's 2 parts black, 2 parts gray, and 1 part blue. No, I said that wrong. I'm so sorry. 2 parts black, 2 parts blue, 1 part gray. Right? And now I'm just kind of twisting this around because I want to look for some hairs. Now, when you're doing this, you don't just go ahead and just pick out hairs. You find out which ones you can actually do an edge highlight on. So like, there's a couple here that I can kind of get this edge highlight going. Because a lot of it is just going to be like dry brushed. But you want to see which ones you can just kind of get the edge highlight to work. And if it's gonna like be too difficult, then you don't do it. But you, with hair, or fur I should say, you don't have to go ahead and hit every single one because hair highlights differently. So you just find the ones that kind of stick out by themselves. Now the other way of doing this is don't worry about the texture, just go ahead and hit all of the edges on different levels. Like see, I could hit the edges on this level and then hit the edges on this level and then call it good. I don't know if you can actually see that highlight. You might not see that highlight. Let me see if I can exaggerate this a little bit by adding a little bit more light gray to this. Let me see if I can go to the top. So on the top, there's not much I can highlight here or edge highlight. So I'm just gonna kind of just hit the edges the best I can. I don't know if that can be seen or not. I'm trying to make it so that you can see what I'm doing without going too stark with a this is sticking out right there. it's not being seen. All right, we're just gonna go bold. This is more for you to see what I'm doing and not really the color that I want, because you don't want too stark of a contrast here, but I'm gonna make it a stark contrast only because you can't really see what I'm doing. So I'm just getting a point on my brush, and all I'm doing is picking out highlights. Actually, I wonder if I can zoom in better. Let's see if I can zoom in. So, not zoom in, come on. All right, let's see if this will work. I have to keep this at a certain angle. I have to get myself at a position where I can paint and see what I'm doing. But like, this is what I'm talking about. This hair right here. All these little hairs here that I can kind of, well, now I can't because my paint is dry. Hold on. Let me get some. Okay. We'll get this going. Hold on. This isn't gonna be, all right. So, right here is a hair that I can edge highlight. And then there's one right here and one right here, right? I can edge highlight these. Now I can do that, or I can just forget the texture altogether and just make these little slashes on all of these little edge for the hair. Whoops. So hopefully we can see that. So it's just a matter of me finding where I want to bring out the hair. So something like that. So when you're looking at it, it'll, like the tail might actually be easier. Let's see if I can do this on the tail. So something like that. It's not just a straight up dry brush. I'm really trying to pick out certain places to go. Hopefully you'll be able to see it when you have it. Let's see. Let me brighten that up just a little bit. I'm trying to get this to be a little bit more forgiving. There we go. All right. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. Just gonna mash all this up together now. See if I can get some highlighted fur on here. But I'm just trying to figure out kind of where the edge highlights I can actually get to. Because you're not going to get to everything. So you have to kind of figure out the best way to approach the fur. So sometimes I'll hit certain levels, others I'll just kind of hit the actual hairs themselves. Like right here, I'll just hit the levels because they're pretty short. And down here, I might just find one or two hairs, because it doesn't have to always, and you don't want to do it the same level anyway. Like I'll probably end up going a little bit lighter on the top here than I will on the back hair. But it's always nice to be able to see the hairs that you're kind of doing. So on the arms, it'll be pretty straightforward. I think it's just going to be hairs that I can actually edge highlight. Like this one, this one. And we'll do this as well. And if you can do them on the actual arm or on the shoulder, and keep the black line right there, it will actually sell the fur much nicer because it'll show that separation. We're gonna add a little bit more of this bright warm gray, and I'm just gonna hit, and they don't even have to be the same hairs that you did before. It could be totally different. I'm just gonna hit some random hairs. But if you're going to do this, make sure that you're only staying where you want the light hair to be. Don't go all over the place with this. I might just want to stay on the shoulders with this. And you don't even have to do all of them. You can just pick and choose which hairs you want to highlight. Because at the end of the day, it's all going to be red as one whole plot of fur, right? Like these come out of and away from the light, so we'll hit those there. All this gets to see some light right there. And as you can start to see, the fur starts taking on a whole new texture other than just black. Now, if you go too much with this and you don't like it, there's nothing saying you can't glaze it and filter it back down with the black. I'm just gonna make this a little bit darker, not too much darker, and just kind of hit some of these arm ones. And of course, we gotta do the hair, right, in the ears. And he has hair coming down off his mane here. Right, so he's got that there. He's got some fur over here. Now, because I had to go pretty light to show you what I'm doing, I will go over this with a black filter. Now, because that's underneath, I'm going to actually go back to a darker gray here. So you may not see this highlight color, but I'm just going back to a darker highlight. And the only reason I'm doing that is because I want it to read as fur and not just a black mass on his neck. There we go. Let me see if I can. Having a hard time getting them. I think my camera just is in the wrong position. That's what I think it is. I gotta fix that camera a little bit. Maybe if I do it here, can I get a better readout of it? No, I'm gonna need a better camera, I think. Maybe my contrast off. One of these days, I'm gonna figure this all out, and then you guys can have a really good representation of what I'm seeing. Okay. Again, to make the glaze, we're gonna go with 4 shots of medium. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 drops of medium, and I'm just gonna start sticking the color that I want in there. So, oh, that's not good. So this looks like a good. Now I'm using acrylic medium, or excuse me, I'm using an acrylic paint because I kind of want it to be flat, not glossy. And I kind of know that contrast paints tend to be a little more glossy. I'm gonna add a little bit more paint to this. So it's 4-2. Let's see how this looks. Might be a little too much. So this time I'm going to add a little bit of water just to break it down. So did 2 shots of water, so now this is like a 3-to-1 mixture. We did a 4-to-1 mixture, did a 2-to-1 mixture. So we'll see what this does. This is much better. We like this. All right. So we're going to get all that black out of there. Look at that. Ooh. Notice that I'm not really moving my tip and just touching, letting the paper towel kind of take everything out until it gets nice and small. Using the side of the brush, you're just going to kind of filter along that hair, and I'm just going to work my way downward. And it's not going to look like it's doing anything until it dries. So we'll do the same thing over here. There is paint in your brush, trust me on that. But what this is doing is it's only staying where I want it to. That's why we use the paper towel, to get rid of all that top moisture. Because if we don't, then it turns it into a wash and it goes everywhere. And we don't want it to go everywhere, we just want it on this fur. So I'm just gonna kind of bring all of this in, bring it to the ear and down. Bring it to the ear and down. Underneath. We'll also do it over here. You should be able to see it coming out because it'll look like it's just wet. But then when it dries, that's where the magic happens, because that's where it will darken up. Okay. We're going to do the arms the same way. Just bring them into the arms one way and out from the arm the other way. Same thing here. And if it doesn't become darker, then we'll just redo the glaze, but there we go. All right. So that's where he's looking right now. So hopefully we've kind of made it so that his body is a little bit more blended in. I'm going to go ahead and take a bright silver. Watch what we're going to do with this. We're going to take this bright silver. I got to mix it up though. Take a nice bright silver. And we're going to take some of this nice bright silver. And I'm going to add a little bit of orange to that bright silver. And it will kind of make a bronzy color. Taking that bright, and I'm gonna actually make this a nice bronzy color right here. This necklace piece. Now, I don't know if it should be a bronzy color because his skin is orange. But if we don't like that, we can always darken it up. Let's see, what do I want? Let's add a little bit of blue and see what that does. That blue might actually have done a little bit of a trick. But you see what I'm saying about that black? If we just do the face of that, there's black around that. Kind of making it a separation. Now I could have added green to that. I could have done a red thing if I wanted. I wasn't quite sure what to do there, so we just kind of made an idea. We just kind of made a decision. This muzzle is having some issues. I'm going to take some of this black brown, some of this orange. And I think I kind of want to... Nope, I need a little bit more of this orange. I'm going to take a little bit of the gray. We're going to mix a whole bunch of colors in. let's see if we can't make this just a little bit. I kind of want it to blend into the black. So I'm just kind of making a really quick blend color. It's going to separate out that nose a little bit. Because a gnoll is a hyena, and a hyena has this sort of blackened, dark mouth. So that's kind of what we're trying to go for here. So I'm really trying to make this a nice darker orange. And then I can go in with I'm gonna go in with this black and brown a little bit more. And go more towards the outside and towards the mouth area so that it looks like it's fading into the orange. So you keep that orangey color more towards the skin tone, and you take this black and brown more towards, so it's like a reverse highlight, right? There we go. Looking better. All right, let's see, where are we at? 10:37. How's it go? How much longer are you staying on? Not very much. Yo, 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 Vet with the brush. What's going on? Welcome in, everybody. Not much longer. We're gonna do some eyes, I think, and then we're gonna call it a night for tonight. But we were kind of doing this as a tabletop plus, so we wanted to give him some character, but I needed to blend him down just a little bit more. So we have it this way. So we highlighted the blues tonight. We kind of made it so that when you take, you know, when you paint, we've kind of fixed in all of this area here where where that black lining is. You want to get your black line or your dark line to be as thin as possible. So we're just kind of going in here and fixing all this up like so. And yeah, so we did a lot of the skin stuff today. We're kind of get the skin stuff down. Looking good, thank you. So the other thing you can do here is you can take this brown that we created and add more of this bright warm gray. And if you wanted to, you could actually go in and do a lot more streaks in here, right, with the wood. And remember I said that wood is organic, so you don't have to be super like you don't have to be super tight with your lines here. However, if you go too bright with your lines, you can always glaze it down with a brown. So everything we did on here is all based on the colors we made, mixing things around and stuff. All right, eyes. We're gonna do some eyes, and on a hyena, I think their eyes are like this black color. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna put 2 white dots on each side of the eye. But if you don't want to do that, like there is an eye in there. I could take that eye. So I'm going to go ahead with this bright warm ivory. And I'm just going to use the tip of the brush. Now, when I say I'm using the tip of the brush, I mean I'm using just the tip of the brush. See, I just have that. And I'm twirling it around and dragging it so that my gray starts to go away, right? But I have it on the tip of the brush, and you're just going to get into an area where you're just going to press down, right? So my brush is not, so I'm trying to, I will show you, hold on. Okay, so there's my eye. See my eye in there? You probably can't see it because it's not. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, see my eye in there? What I'm doing is I'm holding the brush at an angle like this, and then I'm just pressing down. Not that hard though, but I'm going 90 degrees down vertically, but my brush is at an angle. Okay? That's what you want to do. You don't want to poke it. You don't want to be like this and then poke down. You want to be like this and go vertical. Right? So that's what I'm doing to grab that eyeball. So again, we usually use the tip. I drag and twirl to make sure that I only have paint on the tip of the brush. I don't know if you can see that, right? Only the tip of the brush. Hold the miniature where you can put this at a 45-degree angle. I'm going to try to do this on camera. This is going to be so bad. I'm going to try to do this on camera and I don't know, did I get it? I didn't get it. Hold on. Give me 1 sec here. I should stand up and do this, but I'm at an odd angle, so if I'm not hitting it properly. So it's just these, it's at an angle, and I just kind of hit it with the tip of the brush. Did I do it? Oh, I got it. And now I can do those red, I can do those blue if I want. But once I get that, then it's just easier for me to go in and redefine that eye the same way. I have too much paint on this brush. That's all right. So now I messed up, right? Oh, I messed up. No, I can't believe it. It's all right. We can go in, take some of our black, get our magnifiers down, and just fix around the eyeball. And it's that simple. Just fix around the eyeball. I'm probably not doing any justice on camera. Give me 1 sec. I think I have to fix the bottom of this. There we go. There it is. And then I can make it red if I want, just by using a little bit of red. And just to get all the colors on here, let's get the ivory on here. Where's my ivory? So I'm going to use red, ivory, and orange. very, very small amounts. So here's my orange, here's my ivory, here's my red. And we'll make it a little bit brighter. And we'll make it a little bit orangier. And you guessed it, twirl and drag and do the same exact thing you did before. Because he's kind of like a gnoll and not a hyena, we can make his eyes glow. Now if you wanted to, you can make him glow blue. I'm just going to make them a little on the red side. So there it is. And then you can add a little bit of ivory into the middle. And make them pop a little bit. I might change it to blue eyes, I'm not sure. Or I might change it to green eyes. We could do it green eyes. Green eyes would look pretty sharp. Let me get this back to where it was supposed to be. There we go. Play. All right. So let's add a little bit more of this. I'm gonna add a little bit of ivory to this color. And add little dots in the middle of these muscles. Remember when we add dots, you just put the point down and twirl? That's kind of what I'm doing here. And you can get a little bit more highlight into your flesh if that's so what you desire. Okay. I don't want to do too much with that because we're going to kind of scratch him up anyway. Black Gnoll sounds like a grassy spot at the end of a hike. Ba-dum-bum. I'm going to take some of this green and some of the ivory, and I'm going to add a little bit of highlights to the tattered cloth. And we can mute that green down just a little bit more by adding some gray to it. I'm going to add a little bit of blue. That was too much blue. That's a mint green. And so you know how we get rid of that mint green? We add a little bit of the orange color, and that just kind of mutes it down a little bit. And I'm just going to kind of hit some of these little areas here, just to kind of bring out. Remember, I said this at the beginning, and I'll say it here at the end. You don't need to go with a darker color to always go in between different sources. You can always highlight, and the highlight will kind of create this darker color. So like where this where this belt was, instead of me trying to go with a lighter gray, if I use this lighter green, I should be able to come away with that belt looking like that there's a belt there. And I can show a shadow in between the leg or these little bone structures by just adding in this lighter color. And you can also create shadows. There we go. All right. All right, so we kind of touched up on the skin tone tonight, and we highlighted the blue. We didn't do a lot of the scratches that I wanted to do in the axe, but we'll take care of that. We'll also bring out some of the stubs on the axe, but we did do a lot with the mane. And so next week when we come back, we'll take this burnt orange, or you can take this burnt orange, and we're just going to go ahead and just highlight like all the places that we think the light's going to hit, but you don't necessarily have to highlight any more than that, right? We want them to be orange, but we want this area to be darker because it's not in the light. I'm not exactly sure what we're listening to, but I kind of like it. So that's kind of where you want to go, is you want to just highlight all of this with that nice burnt orange, but you don't want to paint the whole thing burnt orange. Like down here where the back of the abs here, the lats, no, these aren't the lats, what are these called? The love handles, we can paint those with this burnt orange. Because what we'll do is we'll glaze it back down, right? So like right here. And it should work just fine because all of these colors, this orange is in all of these colors here. That might actually be hair, so we'll have to look at that after. But if you look at how he is, all of this is facing upward, all of this is facing downward, and so that's kind of how you create this effect. Like everything on this side is this kind of medium tone, this is a brighter tone, this is a darker tone. That's how we want to work this. So with that in mind, I think we're gonna call this guy set for today. There's a lot more stuff that we can do. As I do more, right? It's like, wait, I thought he was done. I am done. This is just ivory. I'm just touching up some of the stuff that I think I messed up. But that's where he is this time around. So he's kind of almost done. I think I'm going to change up the eyes next week. So next week we'll do the eyes green. Unless you want to do them green, you're more than welcome to. I showed you how to do the green. We're going to get some weather, or we're going to get some damage on these axes, just kind of like show that it's been used. I really kind of want to get a gash down his face, or his chest area here. So maybe we'll make a scar somewhere on him to show that, you know, he's been in fights. Yeah, we'll finish up the base, touch up the nose, and we'll call him Tabletop Plus. We'll give him some character. We have to kind of come up with a story for him. One thing I'll do though, before we leave, just gonna take this red, and I'm actually gonna kind of give it this a little bit more of a red tone so it looks red. Because I think we did this before we left last week, and we were going to make it a muted red, but I kind of think I want it to be a vibrant red. Not a vibrant red, but... There we go. So how's everybody been doing tonight? Vet, it's great to see you, first time chatter. I'm glad you made it to at least one stream. Let's see, who else was in here? I saw somebody else in here. Wappa Dan, what's been going on? It's been a while. Mjar Ansbel, how's it going? What have you been up to? All right. So we have a couple people in here, which was really cool. I kind of enjoy these little paint-alongs, and it gets another miniature onto the table. So we've done plenty of paint-alongs. This was one paint-along that we were working on. So we were doing fur on this guy. So this is one that comes from Kiwana Minis. We're painting her out or painting this out and doing some of the refining. So he came out pretty good. We also painted this wood paneling, just kind of like a little cartoony wood thing going on. So that was one of our paint-alongs. Here's a couple of other paint-alongs we were doing. We were doing statues. We were trying to do marble effects. This one's the white one, and this one's red. So just trying to get some marbling going in. And I think that's all I have access to. I don't know where all my other paint-along stuff is. But yeah. So let me kill the music really quick. The queue was really quick. There we go. Alright, let's bring this out, bring this off. And I'll bring that to the top, take these off. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for stopping in. Why is it so dark in here? Anyway, thank you so much for stopping in. I appreciate every time anybody comes in and chats with us. I'm going to be back here on Tuesday. So Tuesday we're going to be doing a little bit more of the grayscale, doing the sketching of the vampire. So we're taking a bunch of grays and we're just mixing them together, and we're trying to get it to be just look grayscale, and then we can go ahead and we can glaze in over colors wherever we want the colors. So that's what we're doing on Tuesday. We're finishing that off. On Friday we'll be back with actually, I don't know if I'll be on Friday. I have to double check. Please check the schedule down below. I might actually be gone on Friday, so the film case brigade might need to take a quick detour. It might be Thursday night. I may have to change out until Thursday night. But, and then we'll be back next week to do the final part of the Gnoll Ravager. So we're going to give him some character. We're going to give him some wounds. And we'll make him tabletop plus ready to go. And then we're into May, which is another paint-along. I can't remember who it is. Let me go into the Discord and find out who we're painting for May. So May is going to be, Reaper Miniature 07065. It's Norak the Etten. That's going to be a fun one. I have some ideas for that. And then we go after May, we're into Thursday night paint-alongs again, which will feature a 3D print. So if you don't know who Epics and Stuffs is, make sure that you look them up. We're going to be doing a Turtle Barkeep miniature, and it'll be fun. So, and I gave the links in the Discord to where you can find the pre-supported one if you want to print it, or where you can actually buy it. Okay, so that takes care of everything there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for stopping in. Let's go find someone to bring everybody over to. I hope that you've enjoyed the paint along as much as I have. Let's see, who can we go see? Let's see who's working, who's a working.
Love how the
Let's see, let's go over to let's go over to Hobby with Tim. He's a cool guy. I think I've been to his stream twice. He's pretty funny. He's pretty hysterical. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go over to see him. So let me get that raid started really quick. Raid the channel. Raid the channel. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going over to Hobby with Tim. If you don't know who he is, please make sure you stay there for a few minutes to find out who he is. If he's your kind of streamer, give him a follow so you'll know when he's streaming again and again and again. And I will see everybody on Tuesday at 7 o'clock to do more sketching. We'll see you then. Thanks, everybody, for stopping in and painting along. And I will remember, I will see you behind the brush.